All right, everybody. Hello. Today we are going over one of my new favorite subclasses that came from patch 8, the Death Domain Cleric. Now, this, especially just the Toll the Dead cantrip, is such a strong ability with the Death Domain. I really recommend you guys try this out. I'm sure you guys are excited with this patch as much as I am. I'm going to be getting out guides that I think that are really fun for not just this class, but all the new subclasses. So I hope you guys are ready for it. Now, I'm going to be going over this guide, kind of using some items that I use while going through the game. So not just the final build, which I have laid out right here, but also some other ideas that you can use while going through the game. But obviously, I'm going to be kind of focusing centrally on the character that I built here and how like kind of his build works. So let's go ahead and start with the character creation process. Alright, everybody, and now we are at the character creation. Now, I think what's really cool about the Death Domain specifically is that you could definitely run with a few origin characters instead of only running with custom. I think because these two, the Shadowheart and Dark Urge, run pretty well thematically with the Death Domain. Shadowheart obviously is kind of already a cleric, but she is the Trickery Domain, but Death Domain fits her really well and her story. But especially the Dark Urge, especially if you're leaning more into the Dark Urge's tendencies throughout the game, and also some of the items that you get as the Dark Urge specifically are really nice to use this new Death Domain from the newest patch. But obviously I'm going to be running with a custom character, you know, just for some more fun, so you guys can get a better idea of what you can be run. Now, obviously, what I want to do say that make sure you guys pick whatever you want, as this is a role-playing game, so you can play whatever kind of character you want. This is just kind of like my ideas of what you can kind of run as, you know, a more optimized, perhaps, but this, again, pick whatever you want. So there are a lot of good races for a cleric, especially because clerics actually get a lot of proficiencies. You can see it gets light armor, medium armor, shields, and already a good amount of weapons as the game goes on. So obviously pick whatever you want as your kind of race. Some of my favorites are half-elf because getting the civil militia, getting some extra proficiencies, and the armor proficiencies doesn't matter, obviously, because of already being a cleric. But you can get some dark vision, you get some Fey ancestry. I just, you know, obviously it's the most common race, but it's my favorite because I feel like it's really good thematically by fitting you into a fantasy world. But, you know, Death Domain, you could go with Tiefling. Tiefling isn't that bad to get a free fire resistance. That's not bad. And the dark vision. You also get some decent race speed. But one of the best I would always go for is not only just the high elf, but the wood elf. The wood elf gets extra movement speed, and having extra movement speed is always really good, no matter what kind of build you run. So I kind of like running the wood elf. But you could also run the drow for a little bit more proficiencies that actually you don't get as a cleric. So you can run with these and you get superior dark vision and Fey ancestry, also really nice. But any of these are really good. You can also run a Gith Yankee if you want to get some of the abilities from certain items. But like I said, any one of these races are really good. But personally, I'm a big fan of the half-elf, so we're just kind of be running with the half-elf here. If you do run the half-elf, I would highly recommend just going with the wood, you know, for extra movement speed, like I was saying before. But you could also, if you want to get Dancing Lights as a cantrip, as a drow, or if you want a free high elf cantrip, this will scale with your intelligence, so be aware of that. On my first playthrough, I did not know that, so I was like, why is my firebolt so bad? But it does scale, as you can see right here. It scales with your intelligence modifier because it is a race-based cantrip, not necessarily a class-based. So keep that in mind. For this one, I will just go ahead and put wood half-elf. Now, it's not the race that I chose when I was initially going through, but it's still a good one nonetheless. So obviously, we're going with the cleric, and we're not going with the trickery domain. We're going with the new Death Domain, and obviously, it is super good. So let's go ahead and just pick some of the random cantrips. Some of the ones that I highly recommend is obviously Guidance. Guidance is a super good ability when going out throughout this game. There is also a new cantrip, the Bursting Sinew. I've seen this kind of used a little bit, but it's also nice just to have more necromancy cantrips because, you know, we don't have all that much. So we can run with that. Guidance, Bursting Sinew, I highly recommend. And then everything else is kind of like your option because you already will get Toll the Dead as a cantrip. So any one of these is good. I'm just going to go ahead and run with Sacred Flame as these are some really good basic cleric based cantrips. Next, you get to choose between Toll the Dead and Bone Chill. You will get access to both when you're leveling up a little bit, so don't worry about only choosing one and then having to really aim for getting a second one. Obviously, Toll the Dead is really, really good, so I'd recommend doing that one. Now, the D&D doesn't matter. Again, this is a role-playing thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and go with, I don't know, Tiamat, because Tiamat's also a really cool character in D&D lore. But for background, now this is also another one where it's up to you and how you want to run with it. I always like running Noble, but that's more for fun. Guild Artisan is one of the better ones in the game because Insight and Persuasion are used a lot. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be an amazing front like the face of the party because it's not a charisma-based class, but you can definitely add some charisma if this is going to be your main character and run it that way. If you do run it that way, I recommend the Guild Artisan. Noble is also not bad, but once again, this is a role-playing game. Pick whatever you like. Now on to more number-based stuff. This is a class that you can kind of run it in a few different ways. One of my favorite ways to run it is actually using some Wisdom and Constitution. Running it a little bit more tanky is kind of what I run, but you can also get rid of some Charisma and then buff the Dexterity a little bit, and just get that a little bit higher. Or you can run it where Constitution's a little bit higher, but either or, I kind of like running it with a Dexterity and a Constitution base, but you could definitely run it with Strength as well, especially on the early parts of the game. I do not blame you for running Strength because we're not going to get access to the main type of weapon that I recommend for this build until a little bit later on. So pick whatever you want, but I'm going to be running with what I think is best at the end point of the game. But you can always respec. You can also always just start with, like, you know, a little bit more, a little bit less Dexterity, a little bit more Strength to run with it as well. You could get 14 here, and then you can have your main weapon that you'll start with, like the mace, have a little bit more damage, so you could definitely do that. But this is kind of like what I build at the start, is something a little bit more Constitution and a little bit more Dexterity based, but again, it's all up to what you think. And now back to the spells. Now we are a cleric, obviously, so we get access to some healing spells, which is nice, but we are the Death Domain, so we are focused on doing damage and then using the corpses that we create as our own weapons. So we're going to go ahead and add the Inflict Wounds. It's one of our great early on damaging spells, so I recommend grabbing that. Guiding Bolt and then the 2 healing spells are kind of what I normally go for, but you can always make a great combination with some Create or Destroy Water with some of your other characters if you're not running this solo. Command's also really good for getting some really good early items. Bless is great, and all of these other ones are also really good. These are just the 4 that I normally pick for my cleric. But now that we've got the character created, let's go ahead and talk about the level up process of this character. But right before we kind of get into the leveling up process, I kind of want to show you what kind of the late game build I have works with. So I have gotten rid of the majority of my strength and kind of given it into dexterity and constitution and wisdom. I actually kind of, now that I've kind of played this around a little bit, I kind of actually want to get rid of some dexterity and put it into Constitution just for a little bit more health. Because I think, as I've been playing this, when you're doing a lot of damage with, like, Blight, or you're doing a lot of damage with Inflict Wounds as your Necromancy spells, you kind of run in and you kind of run out a lot. So you kind of get hit a decent amount. So having a little bit of extra health is good. Also, having a little bit less dexterity than other of your other teammates so that they can go first, so they are told the dead, has more damage potential with it, is also nice. So you kind of want to run this not like super fast, unless you want to. That is obviously really good because you also get a little bit more AC and all that fun stuff. But I think 14 is a really good sweet spot for me because I've been trying to do a little bit more, but then when you roll pretty high, it kind of gets a little annoying when you are the first to go and you're told the dead isn't at max damage potential. But this is kind of what my end game build is like. Alright, and now getting into the actual leveling up process. So one thing that they did not mention when you get to level 1 as a cleric is you get this feature, and this is why I really like the Death Domain feature. It gets the passive feature Reaper. Your necromancy cantrips that only target one creature, which all of them in this game currently do, you could target an additional creature. So your Toll the Dead can target 2 people. Your Bone Chill, if you choose that, can also do that as well. So it's kind of crazy having to do all that. You can do all that spread damage. And so now we kind of get to level 2, so we get a little bit more spells and a Channel Divinity charge, but we also get the subclass feature, Touch of Death. When you hit a creature with a melee attack, you can use the Channel Divinity to do extra necrotic damage, which I think is not that bad, especially at the beginning of the game when you're kind of wanting to do some more melee offensive damage because you don't have amazing damage potential. The only thing you really have is your Toll the Dead, which is great. But sometimes you kind of like get surrounded and you don't really want to use Toll the Dead because it is a ranged spell attack. But still, you also get Turn Undead, which is not that bad at all. Now that we're looking at some more levels, level 1 spells, I think I'll just go ahead and grab the Healing Word. I did not grab it on my initial run, which is why I told you at the beginning to kind of run that. I should definitely have gotten these 4. They're a really good start. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grab Shield of Faith. Shield of Faith is a decent concentration spell. Especially running this with a little bit more Constitution, we have a higher chance to get passed with our concentration checks. So that is also good to keep in mind. Now on to level 3. We get a few things. Mostly we are getting the level 2 spell slots. So let's go ahead and see. There are a decent amount of level 2 spells. One of my favorites is obviously Spiritual Weapon. I really, really like casting Spiritual Weapon. Just getting more health and damage on the board is always nice to have, so I always recommend that. Also, I love running Hold Person. I think if you guys have played this game before, Hold Person is such a great spell, especially if you get it off. The higher wisdom you have, obviously, the better chance you have of getting it off. And if it's active on a humanoid, they'll pretty much get crit, and you could just destroy them with your necromancy spells and do so much damage. So all of these are really good spells and the ones I would recommend at this level. Now, level 4 is where I kind of give you guys an option of where you want to go with this. So, if you want to, we can go ahead and look at the feats, and we can go ahead and go into Spell Sniper. This is where we can get our other Bone Chill cantrip. So, if you want to be running this, if you want both all the Necromancy cantrips in the game, Bone Chill, Bursting Synapse, and Toll the Dead, this is how I would get it. Also, getting the lowered critical hit, or heightened critical hit chance, sorry, with this feat is also nice because Bone Chill will probably be used a lot. Same thing with Toll the Dead. Getting crits on that is always good. So you could run it with this, which is kind of what I think you could do as like an early start, especially if you're kind of liking the way your builds are working so far. That is something that I would recommend. Also, here, we'll just go ahead and grab Blade Ward. Because they're not going to give you both options for your cantrips, unfortunately. So you're going to choose Toll the Dead at the beginning, and you can use a feat to get the Bone Chill cantrip if you want. I am going to actually, now, at level 4, when you get a first feat, I'm going to use the feat that I believe is the most fun. Now, as at the kind of like the start of this, you're kind of using Toll the Dead a little bit, but you're kind of like, you have a shield in hand and a mace in hand. You're kind of running in and hitting things like normal. If you're Shadowheart, you're missing things, but, you know, I don't play Shadowheart, but, you know, we all know that Shadowheart do be missing a lot. But I recommend the Dual Wielder feat. The Dual Wielder feat actually gives a really good feature where you can use 2-weapon fighting even when the weapons you are wielding aren't light. You cannot dual wield 2-handed weapons, which is fine. We don't care about that last part. But this dual wielder feature gets us access to holding 2 quarterstaffs, which I think is really good, especially if this is going to be one of your main spellcasters and you're not running like a wizard who wants to run with this. I think this is great because I don't normally have a wizard and a cleric at the same time. I kind of have a lot of melee offensive characters and then like 1, maybe 2 spellcasters in the back. And this is one that I've been running. And with this, a barbarian and a rogue, oh my word, it's so nice to have a really, really strong backline who's stopping like heals and stuff like that while healing itself. Very, very strong. So I'm going to actually run with this. And I'll show you some of the items later on that I think work really well with the dual wielder feat. But now we are level 5 and we get access to the level 3 cantrip. So we automatically get access to Vampiric Touch, which is great because we'll also get some hit points back when we attack with our Vampiric Touch spell. And we also get Animate Dead, which is great. And this is green because I have a staff on that actually lets me get that extra spell. But you can ignore that if you're actually level 5 right now. But we get access to level 3 spells, which is important. There are some really good ones, personal favorites of mine and recommended. Spirit Guardians, obviously, I think everyone knows the strength of Spirit Guardians. Being able to just kind of put an aura around you and then run in, have good if you have good your good constitution, you kind of run in there and just kind of take hits and maintain concentration with it, and just do a buttload of damage that way. And then you can also grab Mass Healing Word. These are my kind of like two main go-tos. But if you're in Act 2, which you'll probably be around level 5, maybe level 6 around that time, Daylight is a very, very good evocation spell, being able to put a lot of the enemies that you fight there at disadvantage. So that's really good. Also, Glyph of Warding, another great, amazing trap AoE spell. Remove Curse is one of those spells where you kind of like will add that to your spell book when like a curse is active on one of your members and you kind of want to heal that off. Same thing with Revivify. It is a necromancy spell, but it's not like the best one in terms of what kind of build we're going with here. But I wouldn't blame you for bringing it, especially if you're on honor mode and you want to make sure that your guys are alive and well. This is also a really good one. But that's those are my recommendations for those level 3 spells. Now moving to level 6, we get another Channel Divinity Charge, which is nice, so we can do more melee damage if you want, or we can do more Turn to Dead, whatever you guys feel. But we also get this. Now, the subclass feature, Inescapable Destruction, your spells that you cast ignore necrotic damage resistances. So you can be casting Bone Chill, you can be casting Toll the Dead without any resistance, and there are a decent amount of monsters in this game that actually have a resistance to necrotic damage, because they're all, you know, the majority of things that we fight are, you know, more evil, and they have more resistance to necrotic in that kind of fashion. So having this subclass feature as the Death Domain Cleric is actually really, really strong. So getting that is amazing. And now you can go ahead and add that Revivify Necromancy cantrip. I'm going to grab it just because it's another Necromancy spell. But all these other ones are great in their own way. If you're in the second act, grabbing Daylight is good. But I'm going to go ahead and grab Revivify. Alright, moving on to level 7. We get access to the level 4 spells. Now, these spells can go crazy. We can get rid of Revivify and Banishment, and you can go ahead and grab any one of these ones. I take it back. I'm gonna actually keep these ones. The level 4 spells that we have access to that aren't automatically added to our spell book are like okay. Guardian Faith is all right. Freedom Movement is pretty nice if you want to use a level 4 spell slot for that. So all great, and you know, Banishment is nice if you get it off. It's really, really good. A Charisma save is really good for a lot of the monsters in this game that don't have that much Charisma. But you do get access to a new Necromancy spell that can absolutely destroy. You can see it ignores resistance because of that subclass feature that we just got. Doing 8d8 necrotic damage, and plants take maximum damage and have disadvantage against the saving throw of it. But that doesn't matter. We're not really using this on plants all that much. This thing still does half damage on a save, but there's going to be some items that we'll be holding on, especially with the quarterstaffs, that it can make this a advantage technically, because the opponents will have disadvantage when making saves with necromancy spells. So this is your new super nuke damage, Blight. A lot of great damage coming from that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to level 8, where we get access to another feat. Now, what you can do here is, I didn't talk about this at the first feat, and I probably should have. ASIs are always great. Especially if you got like the hair from the hag. You can go ahead and actually get this all the way up to 20 now, which wouldn't be all that bad as well. You can run with that, and you know, the higher wisdom, the lower chance that people succeed on your spells. So you can run with that, but I don't have that on this character, which is completely fine. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and drop that by 1 and increase that by 1. So we have 10, 14, 16, 8, 18, and 10, which is pretty good for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and accept that. There's not really any new spells that I really want. It put Glyph of Warding. It knows I love Glyph of Warding. Huge. All right. Now moving on to level 9. Get some more spells, spell slots, and some more health. But we get access to some more new spells. We get access to Contagion, which is a decent necromancy spell. I haven't really used this all that much because there are a decent amount of enemies that actually have an immunity to poison. But if you're fighting against a bunch of humanoids, this is a very high level necromancy spell, so sometimes it's not necessarily worth it. But it's still not that bad at all. But what I do highly recommend is, oh wow, it already put those two on that I really, really like. Planar Binding is fine. Greater Restoration is good. Another one of those spells that you kind of put on to use once and then take it off. But you also have Dispel Good and Evil, or Evil and Good. It's alright. But these three are, this one less so, but these two are really good. So, more healing, always good. I'm sure you guys know about that. But one spell that I actually found really, really useful, especially with this build, is Insect Plague. If you could put Insect Plague down in a big AoE, causing difficult terrain, and opponents getting dealt with a little bit of damage, that can get Toll the Dead active much faster, especially if you are going first, where you roll that unfortunate luck and you're not wanting to if you're wanting to have Toll the Dead, you know, at its maximum potential when they have a little bit of damage left, or a little bit of damage on them, you can have Insect Plague down instead. They're going to get hit, they're going to be in difficult terrain, and they're going to just get bopped by Toll the Dead. You can keep kind of like rolling back a little bit, setting Insect Plague. Oh my word, I found this to be such a useful spell while playing through the game. So highly recommend the Insect Plague. Now we are level 10, and we get access to another cantrip, which is great. I'll just go ahead and grab Resistance. Doesn't really matter. Some more spell slots, so you can go ahead and add whatever you want. Guardian of Faith is alright, so we're just going to go ahead and have that. But the thing that you get is the Divine Intervention. Now, in this case, the mace you get from the Divine Intervention is good if you're still kind of focusing on being a more melee-focused Death Domain Cleric, which also works. Both this and that work just as well. I just have a lot more fun personally with a backline Death Cleric. So I didn't run this in my main run through. I didn't get into a point where I felt like, oh my word, I desperately need to use this Divine Intervention for a massive heal or something similar in that case. So you could run it as the getting the Divine Intervention mace, which is great. I always like having it in case, especially for like the final fights where it's getting a lot harder. You want to get a massive heal to your party, or if you want a bunch of items sent to your camp, that is also good. But use this however you want, and pray to whatever gods you desire to get your Divine Intervention. But for this case, that's all up to you. There's nothing clear-cut there. Now we're at level 11. We get access to the level 6 spells. Alright, now, this is where it's going to get a little bit more fun. So I'm going to go ahead and actually get rid of heal. We're not going to be using that at all. We could have the create undead spell. That's not that bad. Especially, I think it's going to be the spell that we get on the next level, because we're going to be having certain items that can help us like cast this more often than not. But I've always found that I really like Planar Ally, you know, having more bodies on the field. Like I was saying with Spirit Guardian, or not Spirit Guardians, but Spiritual Weapon is great, and this is a very, very powerful being that you summon, so that's always good. But you have access to the level 6 Necromancy spell Harm, reducing the target's maximum hit points, but never below 1, ignoring resistance, 14d6 damage. Oh my word, it is such a powerful spell. If you got Hold Person and then you bring Harm spell on it, that whatever that is just gonna get bopped. It's gonna get destroyed and disintegrated, pretty much. It's gonna be a disintegration ray on its own. But this does so much damage that if you don't have Harm as your one of your level 6 spells when you're a Death Domain Cleric, what are you even doing at that point? If you're running Death Domain, you have to run the Harm spell. It is such a good spell. Alright, and last but not least, at level 12, we get access to another feat. Now, in this case, I actually had needed to put the Con and the Wisdom in separate ASIs. If I had 20 Wisdom right now and 15 Con, I would actually go with the Durable... Is it the Durable feat? No, it's the Tough feat, right? Yeah, the Tough feat. So you can get some more... wait, no, this isn't the one that increases the Con. I am so mistaken. It was the where did it go? There we go, the Durable feat, where you increase your Constitution by 1 and you get more hit points on a short rest. You can regain all your hit points. So that is something you could do, or if you're really running to you increase your ASI just a little bit more in a different way, you can also do that. There are some items in the game that actually give you 1 Wisdom, so you could do something like that. If you're if you're at 15 Constitution, get yourself up to 16, so you're at those nice even numbers. But for this run, I am just going to go ahead and grab myself that Spell Sniper so that I have access to both of the Necromancy cantrips in the game. All right, and that's the level up process. So let's go ahead and I'm going to talk to you about some of the items that I have ran with this character. So as you can see, we have access to 2 quarterstaffs that we can hold at a time, but I'll go over the final build later. First is like some items that you can get at the beginning. So let's go ahead and just drop these guys off over here. There we go. So at the beginning, you're kind of being given a sort of like mace, morning star that you're kind of wielding at the beginning, and a shield. And you're kind of running that for the first like 5 levels. And if you don't want to kind of run with that set, there are a lot of good shields that give you extra spell slots. There are a lot of shields that give you extra bonuses to defense. And then there's some really good single weapons. Like there is the weapon that you get when you go to the Kresh, that you can get there. I believe that's the Blood of Lathander, I believe is the name of the weapon. You can definitely run that for the majority of the game, just that weapon itself. Or if, you know, once you get to level 10, you can use your Divine Intervention and get that mace. But that's all I kind of have to say about this, because I didn't really test this too much. Like, obviously I did it at the beginning, but I had way more fun running with the 2 different quarterstaffs. So the first one that you kind of get in the game is Rain Dancer. Rain Dancer is great to have just a free cast of Create and Destroy Water. Then you also have the Staff of Arcane Blessing that you get in the Underdark, getting yourself some extra Bless, which is amazing. So you can go ahead and cast Bless for free. And you also can have, you know, the Corlon's Grace giving you some extra damage. But if you're wondering why I have this one as an option, there is a kind of build that I had at the beginning where I ran with the Poisoner's Robe, and then ran with, like, this Ray of Sickness that comes from the Staff of Crones that you get after defeating the Hag. And I was casting this a lot at the start, and it was doing a bunch of damage. And because I didn't have any sort of, where is it? There it is. I didn't have any armor on. I was wearing with these 2, so I had extra chances to dodge some spells with my saving throws being bonused. So this is something you could do, and when running with this, you can also run the Bracers of Defense. You have a little bit of AC there, and being able to run around is nice. So this is kind of like what I was from like level, I would say like 5, 6-ish is kind of what I ran with this. But this is, I think, more of like a beginner, not beginner, this is like Act 1, halfway through Act 2 kind of set. But later on, I found a lot more fun with some other armor. So because we are a cleric, we have access to medium armor. You can also use one of your feats to get access to heavy armor. And there are a decent amount of good heavy armors that you can run with, so I would recommend that. But before I got to the Poisoner's outfit, I was kind of running with just like a normal, big, burly set of medium armor. And then running with a shield and a hammer. There's a lot of different ways you can run it. But later on, I actually got access to the on T scale armor, so I had a little bit more in that department, and I had just, you know, some different spells. I really, really liked using the Hollow Staff at the beginning, because this staff actually this is one of the staffs in the game that gives creatures disadvantage on saving throws against your necromancy spells, which is very, very good, especially if you're running around casting, you know, Blight, Inflict Wounds, all that fun stuff. This staff does a lot of good help in making sure that those cantrips or those spells land and do a bunch of damage. So I recommend that. Also getting like the Staff of Interruption just to get a cool free counterspell is nice. But then later on, I kind of replaced this with the free cast of Firebolt and Fireball. Now the Firebolt didn't make sense, wasn't really useful to me because I obviously was a high half health in this run through, so the Firebolt wasn't anything. But we got resistance to fire damage, and we got a free cast of Fireball. And who doesn't like a free cast of Fireball? So I was having fun with that. Later on, I got the Staff of Spell Power, which is basically these two are the lower level versions of the main 2 staffs that I use. So this is giving me a +1 spell save DC and spell attack rolls. It's got Arcane Battery so that I can use a free spell, and it's +2. These 2 are really good for me at the beginning. But then, obviously, I got access to these two staffs, which I really, really like. I'm sure you guys know them already. They're well known. The Staff of Cherished Necromancy. So we had the Heightened Necromancy, which is so that we get it in. They have disadvantage on our spells from Necromancy. But when the wielder kills a hostile creature with a spell, they greedily absorb the energy and gain Life Essence. And Life Essence is the affected entity has absorbed the creature's essence. It can use that essence to cast any necromancy spell without consuming a spell slot. So this is what I was saying, is like we have access to a bunch of good level 6 spells, like the Create Undead, we have Harm, we have just so many great necromancy spells that we can really just cast over and over by knocking things out. And with Toll the Dead being a cantrip and doing a bunch of damage to monsters or enemies that have not their maximum HP, these are a great combination to have Life Essence just kind of be looped, and we have so many casts of our stuff, especially because we could get a Life Essence just from using our cantrip, and then get another Life Essence after we cast Harm on something, and Harm does a bunch of damage, so it might just be able to loop on its own there. So that's why I really, really love this spell for this build. But then we have Mark of Heshnir, which is just a stronger version of the Staff of Power, except this one actually gives us a extra ability, which is Kareska's Favor, which gives us access to some more resistances and some extra spells. So let's go ahead and kind of go over that here really quick. Those extra abilities are really, really nice, so let's go ahead and do that. We have a bunch of different variants, and now this you can kind of cast at whatever kind of situation you're in. If you're finding guys that do a lot of fire damage, you can give yourself a fire resistance. Similar with ice, I really kind of like running with either the lightning, because I just kind of like lightning spells, or you can run with poison, or you could run with acid if you want to run these. I kind of run the deadlier than arsenic, just because I feel like this kind of fits the spell, the vibe of the class a little bit more. So now we got access to some Ray of Sickness, and we have access to Cloud Kills for free cast, which is amazing. So highly recommend that. But obviously, Mark of Heshnir is a really good item that can kind of be used in whatever situation you need. So there's kind of what I think about the weapons. Now, when it comes to headpieces, there's kind of really two that I really like. Or actually, I could kind of go over the bows. That you don't really use your bow all that much, so it's kind of, you're running with a bow that just gives you extra bonuses. I kind of started with the Spell Thief, just in case I needed to get an extra spell slot. I could just try and aim for a crit here, and then get an extra level 1 spell slot. But I ran with the Dark Fire short bow for a long time just to get extra resistances and cast haste. But then, obviously, you know, the Gaunter-Meal, I believe that's how you pronounce it, is such a better, I think, personally, bow to have, because we get Celestial Haste, which is just a better version of haste that doesn't give you the side effects of haste, where you kind of get the lethargic and it lasts a lot longer. Where you get more AC, you get advantage on dex saves, movement speed is doubled, all that fun stuff, and you get an extra action. Very good, very, very good. So that's kind of what I ran for there, but it's not really used all that much, which is why I was like, either one of the Darkfire short bow or this bow is a great pick for this build. For the helmets or the headpieces, Circle of Bones for a free Animate Dead is nice, especially for raising a lot of dead by using Animate Dead a lot. This is a really, really good headpiece to use for that. I used that for a while, and then I kind of ended up using the Hood of the Weave to get some just more spell save DC and spell attack rolls, so that my weapons, or not my weapons, but my necromancy spells just hit more, even with the disadvantage. They're just going to be doing a bunch. It's just more likely that happens. Now, I ran with Cloak of Protection, very, very common cloak, giving more saving throws and AC. But then I grabbed the Cloak of the Weave just to get some more spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and being able to absorb elements is nice as well. So that's kind of what I ran with that. Now, for the armor, I was kind of determining, like, when I was using more dex build, I was using the Armor of Agility and the Yuan Ti armor, or I was trying to use the Animantine scale armor, which is also really good. But I ended up getting the Helldusk armor as probably the best, and it also kind of like fits the vibe a little bit more of the Death Domain. Now, the special part about this is it is a heavy armor, but the Helldusk armor ability that comes from it is you are considered proficient with this armor while wearing it. So even if we don't have the proficiency of it, which we don't, we are proficient with it and can cast our spells within it. We get fly, we get resistance to fire damage, which is why I swapped to using this bow, because we already were overlapping with the Darkfire short bow. When you succeed a saving throw, the caster receives burning. It's just such a fantastic, it is definitely the best armor in the entire game. So if you have not tried to get this, I recommend trying to get it. Now, the gloves were a little bit hard. I ended up casting a lot of stuff that had acid damage at the beginning, so I was kind of doing that. But then I didn't really find that this kind of worked out all that well at the beginning, so I kind of just didn't care about what my gloves were until I got some more stuff that just helped out with my damage or my abilities to hit. So I had the Daredevil gloves, where your ranged spell attacks are considered melee when you are adjacent to a hostile creature, and you get a +1 bonus to spell attack rolls, which is always nice. But then I ended up getting the quick spell gloves, so that I can use my cantrips as a bonus action instead, which is just such an amazing ability. It's once per short rest, but it's just, dude, being able to cast Toll the Dead as a bonus action after you cast Insect Plague or something like that is such a strong ability, and it's toggleable. It's fantastic. Now, for the boots, I ended up just saying that I think this extra Misty Step and the Nightwalker are just too good to run. But the Evasive boots are also nice if you just want to run just a little bit more AC-focused one. I just like not being able to run away freely. So I recommend that. Also, I kind of liked actually using the Psychic Spark, because I could target the creatures that I want to be hitting with my Toll the Dead later on with Magic Missile. And it was very nice, because then the Toll the Dead would be at its maximum potential. So I ran with that. There's also the Spellcrux Amulet, but that kind of goes with every sort of spellcaster, so it doesn't necessarily need to go on this one, especially because you would wear it, use its ability, and then swap it out for something else. So I ended up kind of sticking with the Spectre Eyes. It is a Act 1 very rare item, but this does give you 2 necromancy spells, which are obviously really, really good. You could run with Ray of Fear to cause Frighten on your enemy, and Heightened Necromancy obviously gets affected by this, and Wounding Ray to do just a little bit of necrotic damage as well. Also nice. Now we have the Create Undead Necromancy spell from the Crypt Lord ring, which is great. I highly recommend grabbing this one. There's not a lot of rings that I really liked. Obviously, there's the Ring of Protection. You can run with that. That's fantastic. And then I ended up kind of choosing the Ring of Exalted Marrow just for another ability to use some more necromancy spells. So, but this is kind of the build that I've loved the best, to just do as much damage as possible with this build. Obviously, I would probably change the way that I built this a little bit as I was playing on, so that I could actually have 20 wisdom here. And then have 16 con with the feats, just so I have everything kind of set forth. But, you know, I didn't build that for this one, so that is why this guide is here, so that you can make the mistakes, don't make the same mistakes that I do. So that is kind of the build that I have here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you just a little bit of what this does in battle. All right, and here we are with an example fight of kind of like how we use this build in general. Now, I normally have a barbarian in my party whenever I run with this type of cleric, a more backline cleric, to hold a bunch of bodies. But, you know, I don't really have that when I'm really trying to test out this build with just the character itself. So, unfortunately, I had to knock out someone and then use that to create undead and to create a mummy. And a mummy is a really, really good front line. It's very, very strong, has a decent amount of HP, being able to tank a bunch of stuff while I can just set up and do a whole bunch of stuff from the back. And it's not concentration, which is really good. And if we have time to set up, we can just go ahead and activate this free arcane battery and summon the genie, one of my favorite extra beings in the world. It has so much health points. It's got a thunder wave that it can use every single turn. It can teleport. Oh my word. Absolutely love it. Also, I already have this active, but if you haven't used Koreshka's Favor, I love using poison because it can also increases the chances of just like getting poisoned like our opponents when we do an AoE spell, which is really nice. We also have, you know, resistance to poison, which is fine, but I normally do it just for the kind of thematic components of the character, but also for the ability to poison targets, and I think that is really, really good. Now, I also kind of run this with Celestial Haste, and I throw that on my Barbarian for the first few turns before I kind of do some AoE attacks with it. But once the Celestial Haste goes down, that's when I start throwing down like Insect Plague and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it's not going to really like show off a whole bunch in this example because we're not really hastening anyone. If we haste ourselves, that's fine. But if we're on our own, we kind of really want to use Insect Plague, get some more AoE splash stuff. So now that we have all that kind of being said in the preparation, let's just go ahead and walk up a little bit. Make sure that our technical front line is close to us. All right, there we go. So now the Steel Watcher goes first. Let's see. How much do they do to us? A crit on both of our guys in the back line, but that's fine. We have high AC, so we're honestly completely fine. Only did, yeah, that did like no damage to us. So let's just go. We could have actually charmed there. That would have been good. Oh, we'll charm there now, just for fun. Hey, you're cute. Oh, well, he saved. It's all good. Yeah, we are part. We have part Ceramorphous active on us right now. Which helps us out a lot. But also, one thing that I want to be clear is when you're using the Life Essence Harvest, you want to make sure that your Cold the Weak is off. If your Cold the Weak is on, it will overtake kind of like the ending attack from like the spell attack, and you'll never get Life Harvest. So when you're about to knock something out using just a spell, you kind of want to turn the Cold the Weak off so that you can actually get your free next necromancy spell. So now it's our turn. What I love to do is just use Insect Plague. Insect Plague is so good with Caress's Favor on. Boom, we got a poison right there, and we got a whole bunch of damage dealt outside of that. And now we can go ahead and use our quick spell finger so that we can go ahead and do some damage here. Let's go ahead and keep the poison person alive so we can use that for our life essence. We got 41 here, 39, 45, another 45. So let's go ahead and target these two in the back. And boom, look at that. Already completely dead. Cold the Weak is very, very strong, but we're going to be turning that off in just a minute so that we can deal with these other guys. So now it's the mummy's turn. Let's go ahead. The mummy is maimed, unfortunately, from the attack from the Steel Watcher, so we can't really do much there. But we can try to frighten people. Let's just go ahead and frighten this Fisk Kepso. And there we go. Perfect. And now we can go ahead and just get over here with the genie and just do a free level 4 Thunder Wave. I love this spell. Boom. Does damage, and didn't move him, but that's completely fine. We're just going to go ahead and let this continue out. But you can see how strong this build is already. Just from doing this stuff. Okay, well, they threw the bomb, and apparently they missed. They hit their own friend. All right. Well, that's pretty funny. They're going to throw out the mummy and miss because they're frightened. Try again. And they miss again. And there we go. This guy is at 24 health. This guy is going to Mass Cure Wounds. No, they're not. Backlash. Or Psionic Backlash just knocks them out. Completely missing the Steel Watcher. We love that. And now this guy in the back we're probably going to have to deal with our mummy. Let's hope that that doesn't ensnare. I am immune to being ensnared, which is fantastic, and we save our concentration. But actually what we're wanting to do is actually turn off our concentration on the Insect Plague. So we can go ahead and show you the power of using Life Essence. So let's make sure that we go to our passives and turn off Cold the Weak. And now we can go ahead and search for harm. There we go. I want to just use the big spell. So let's go ahead and do this. Boom. This guy, unfortunately, we did not do that much damage with harm on that round. That is completely fine. So we can go ahead and do that in another round. But what we can do is we could just go ahead and, well, hold on. Where is it? This isn't the right spell. Let's just go ahead and do Mass Healing Word here. Heal our guys. And let's also just get over here. So we are out of harm's way. Now, we're still maimed, so let's see if we can frighten this Fiscilina in the back. And they save. That's all right. And then we can just go ahead and just do this again. Just some more damage to the Steel Watcher. All right, and there we go. Okay, we'll go ahead and throw. All right. Yeah, we can go ahead and charm you. That's fine. You're cute. Hey, okay, the charm works, but the frighten does not. Okay, now they're pretty close in proximity to this guy, which is kind of funny. Now, where's this guy going? He is frightened. Okay, he's jumping closer to us. Dodge, and probably dodge again. Oh, wow, we actually got hit. Pretty lucky for him. Now they're attacking the mummy. The mummy dodges it. It's pretty funny. And now this guy, range attack on me, and we missed twice. Would you look at that? AC too high. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, now that we have harm active, we have a definite chance of knocking this guy out. Let's just go ahead and do a level 4 inflict wounds on this guy. And boom. So then there we go. So we knocked that guy out with our inflict wounds. It doesn't necessarily need to be a necromancy spell. That's just kind of what we do with this build. But now we have life essence. So an affected entity has absorbed a creature's essence. It can be used to cast any necromancy spell without consuming a spell slot. So unfortunately, we already used our action this turn, so we aren't going to really be able to use that. But we have a bonus action, so might as well throw down, let's just throw down a spiritual weapon. Boom. There we go. Another one doesn't require concentration, so we'll just let that happen. We'll punch. Boom. Critical miss. That's all right. I should have probably just used the multi-strike, but, you know, we missed anyway. It's fine. And now let's go ahead and just Thunder Wave. Right. We'll just Thunder Wave there. Boom. 8 damage. Completely fine. All right. Attack the genie. Has 11 damage. Dodge that. Steel Watcher probably going to attack the mummy, right? Yep. Dodging again. Easy. Now, there's this guy in the corners causing us a little bit of issue. So I think what we're going to have to do is use our free spell slot and maybe cause this guy a little bit of blight. Ensnaring Strike on the mummy. Saved and only did 3 damage. Alright, so since this guy's being real annoying, let's just go ahead. We have Heightened Necromancy, so he has disadvantage on this saving throw. And we're going to go ahead and use Life Essence here on Blight. Oops, let me make sure that I let me cancel out of that. Turn on Life Essence and then press it. So now we can activate a free level 6 Blight, 96%. Let's go ahead and attack him with it. Boom. So that was 39 damage, and now he's poisoned from Kreska's favor. Oh my word, dude, we do so much damage. And now let's just go ahead and just do some more healing. We have the ability to do that. There we go. And unfortunately, the mummy cannot be healed, but you know, we could heal everyone else. So now let's go ahead and just do some multi-attacking. Oh, invalid target. Oh no, we're we're not in range. Can we punch him though? Yeah, okay, we can. There we go. All right, you miss again. That's fine. And you know what? Let's just swing at this guy. We died. Oh my word. My teammates are not doing too great for us out here. I'll go ahead and charm them, sure. There we go. We're getting unfortunate luck with our front line not actually attacking and doing any damage, but that's fine. I mean, we're doing all the damage out here. That's all that matters. Get him. See, look at that. Another dodge. It's kind of crazy. All right, main attack. Oh no, our spiritual weapon. I was so attached to it. And now we're ensnared again. The mummy is not having a great time right now. All right. So now let's go ahead and just do a level 3 inflict wounds. Let's just end this guy's misery. Come here. Goodbye. And there we go. We got our life essence back. So next turn we can just absolutely destroy something. We are out of range for the genie, but we can just go ahead and just do a level 1 cure wounds on ourselves. There we go. End the turn, and can we finally do it, mummy? Yeah, there you go. Okay, we got a punch off. And then can we knock out this one? And there we go. It's just down to the Steel Watcher now. 0 damage with a miss. Now we can go ahead and use our life essence. And we'll go ahead and we cannot use Blight on this construct. So we're going to go ahead, maintain a concentration with Vampiric Touch. We'll go ahead and do a level 6. Oh man, we don't have enough damage to walk up to it. But we can walk up. And we can cast, let's see. We can still cast Harm for free. We can lower its HP by a good amount. Let's see if we hit it. There we go. We harmed it. Now it has... we lowered its maximum HP, so it can't heal, even though I can't do that. We're just having fun right now. I'm just having a lot of fun just playing around with this build. It's one of my favorites. All right, let's go ahead and just punch. Boom. There we go, a little bit of damage. And then we'll just go ahead and go over here and just Thunder Wave. Make sure we don't hit our teammates. Boop. There we go. 11 damage. Nice. And yeah, there we go. We probably could have saved our life essence for the next round, but that's okay. That's all right. Oh, we don't want that. Let's just do some vampiric touch. We'll do a level 5 one. Get him. Look at the farm whim. Sure, we'll crit him. 41 damage and a touch of death. So an extra 29 damage. So we did 70 damage that one attack. That's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and end turn with that one. We'll go ahead and use punch. Boom. Detonation starting so we can go ahead and get out of harm's way. And then there's the explosion. But we lost our concentration on vampiric touch. No, but that's basically how this build works. Obviously, we got pretty unlucky with the genie and the mummy, and we would obviously have like a barbarian or more frontline. But this still works if you're wanting to do this for a solo run. But yeah, that is the entire build. I hope you guys really, really liked it. It's one of my favorite builds, and I'm having so much fun making all these characters with this new patch that is out. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Make sure you guys comment down below any sort of other guides that you want to see, or also kind of tell me how you would have built this if you don't like this kind of build. What would you have changed? What would you have done that you think is even better? Please let me know in the comments down below. Also, make sure to subscribe for more guides that I'm making, because I just want to make some more patch 8 content. I'm absolutely in love with this game, and I'm surprised that I haven't made anything in the past. But yeah, thank you guys all so much, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.